Welcome to the channel, guys. We are back again, and today I'm going to be doing a first impression for two fragrances from Jovoy Paris, so stay tuned for that. And if you like the content, hit that like and subscribe button. Really do appreciate it. Now, Jovoy is a brand that I've heard quite a bit about. I haven't really been able to sample much or anything from the house, but I did recently pick up these two decants, so I'm excited about this. Hope I like at least one of them. They both sounded very, very good. One of them is Remember Me, and the second one is Les Jeux Sont Faits. And honestly, they both sound very, very good. Good for the fall, winter. And that's actually one of the reasons I picked them up. But I'm going to, without further ado, get right into this. So I'm going to start with Remember Me and see what it's like. So give that one a second. Okay, that is interesting. So that does have a very nice opening. It's quite warm. A little bit sweet. This one is actually very inviting, it doesn't feel overpowering. It feels one of those ones that's very snug and draws you in, actually. A little bit sweet, slightly candied feel to it. So there is a bit of a crispness there that goes along with that very warm feeling. It's a little bit sweet. And ultimately, the opening is very nice. So I'm gonna go over to Les Jeux Sont Faits. I actually think I said that reasonably well. So this is a French brand, as you might have guessed. There's a lot of French brands, of course, in perfumery, but a lot of the names are in French because it is a French brand. And that's just what they do. They do also have a really cool bottle design that I actually really enjoy, so that's another thing I do like about the brand. But let's try this one. This one is definitely a little bit more in your face. It's a little bit I actually want to say this is a little bit dirty feeling. There's something in this composition that is definitely a little bit pungent, a little bit sharp. It is interesting, though. I think, if I recall, this is the one that actually has rum and gin in it. I think I definitely pick up on that gin. It's actually quite pleasant, but much more in your face. It's very, very sharp right when you first spray it, but it does taper off a little bit. But it does have this, it does definitely have a bit of a pungentness to it. So there is also a bit of a greenness that goes along with this one. It's not overwhelmingly green, but again, this one I think it has tobacco. And it comes across definitely a little bit more, I want to say maybe natural or unprocessed, unrefined tobacco. But there is this overwhelmingly sort of sharp, somewhat green vibe that is also going on. And I think that's playing off with the tobacco. It's a little bit spicy, but not overwhelmingly so. And it's not like a spice bomb kind of spice. It is actually a little bit more like something you'd find in Spice Bazaar, or I think it's Opus number 4, which has a little bit more of a foodie kind of spice covered vibe to it. So interesting. I think this one gives off quite an impression of like outdoorsiness. So I think if I were to go outside, if I was going to be on a hike on a cooler day, this actually might be a nice fragrance. It has a very masculine, outdoorsy feel to it. I'm going to go back to the other one and check it out, see if anything has changed, and let's see if it's developed at all. So there is something a little bit familiar about this fragrance. Something about, so it does have, like I said, that sort of slightly candied vibe to it. It's sweet. It's enjoyable. But it is definitely familiar. So there, I can't place my finger on what fragrance it is, but it is a familiar smell. So, it hasn't changed too much. It still has this overall sort of sweet character to it, a little bit of candidness. There is actually a little bit of spice as well that's actually quite nice. So it's sort of this creamy, candied kind of a vibe with a nice, subtle spice. And actually that is one thing that is starting to come out a little bit more, is that sort of nice spiciness that it has. So this is an interesting fragrance, but again, there is something a little bit familiar about it. And I think it's that sort of candied vibe that it has. Overall, I think it is a nice fragrance. Not as unique as I think the other one is, but I'm going to go back to it, see if it's changed at all, and we'll see what it's like. So it still has that pungentness, that very outdoorsy, sort of a little bit green, not in the sense of like a green Irish tweed or even like Evergreen Dream, which I did a video on, which is a much sharper pine kind of a vibe. And there is that little bit of sort of spiciness and warmth that it has. So this one definitely does give me a little bit of that outdoorsy kind of a vibe. There's just something about it where I think that would be a great location or a great scenario to wear this in. Overall, they are actually both interesting. I think I'm gonna say, at least right now, my favorite is Le Jeux Sont Faits. I kind of like saying the name, so I don't know if that has something to do with it. But I do think it's my favorite because it's a little bit more unique. It does definitely seem like a good or interesting winter kind of fragrance, especially if you're going out, you're going to be outside. Because it does have this sort of interesting greenish vibe that that does have this certain kind of rugged masculinity. And I do like that. The other one, as I said, it does have this very familiar candied sweetness, which is nice, with that added spice that I think gives it a little bit more uniqueness, a little bit of an edge, but it is ultimately also enjoyable on the start. So both these fragrances I think would be good for the fall and winter. I think, you know, if you're looking for something sweet, Remember Me is a little bit better. And I think it is one that would be easier to wear, it would be easier to pull off. It does have a little bit of familiarity there, with that sort of a little bit candied kind of vibe that it has, but it also is more mass appealing because it's a little bit sweet. It's a little bit more unisex as well. And it feels a little bit more mainstream in that regards, but it is one that I think would be great for wearing in the fall, winter. It would be great. I mean, I really feel like this is a fairly versatile fragrance in the sense that it's sweet, so it's a little bit playful. You can wear it in more casual situations, but it is classy and it is well done. I mean, I'm not sure that I would wear it with a suit. That to me, actually, I will say, it doesn't seem quite like a suit and tie fragrance, but it is something that could be dressed up a little bit, so you could wear it on a night out. Ultimately, it's a nice one. So, Les Jeux Sont Faits, to go back to that one, wrap up my final thoughts on the initial thoughts anyways. It's a little bit more unique, so I appreciate that about it. It does have that sort of booziness to it that I mentioned, and there is that sort of kind of green outdoorsy vibe, that little bit of spiciness that is, as I mentioned, again, a different kind of spiciness. But it doesn't go too far in that direction where I find that it, sometimes with those kinds of spices, it ends up smelling like food, like curry, something like that. And it definitely does not give me that vibe at all. So this one, I think it's a little bit more masculine. It's definitely one that I think is harder to wear in the sense that it's not nearly as mass appealing, but it is, I think, still an enjoyable fragrance. It is one that is a little bit more outdoorsy feeling. It would be great for the fall and winter. Nice if you're going to be outside doing some hiking or something. And I think next time I take the dogs for a walk, I'm going to be wearing this one. Anyways, I'm going to cut the video there. Have you tried anything from Jovoy Paris? Let me know down below. What's your favorite from the house? What should I try and check out next from them? And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.